I can't think. What am I supposed to?
You ever been on a podcast?
I think this is my first podcast, actually.
For real?
Yeah.
It's funny
What
enough,
am I
I always
supposed to
use
do?
that question as a practice to get the video going. So,
I can't.
yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pocopio Show. I have a very special guest today. One of my bestest of friends, oldest friends. I think we known each other for how long? 18 years?
18 years. I mean, it feels like about 18 years, but
Yeah.
shoot, how long has it been?
Yeah, like I lost count after, because I remember one time you called me like, dude, we've been friends 18 years. I'm like, where? I stopped counting.
Dang, 18 years?
Yeah, but it's definitely a little bit more than 18 years. My friend right here, Deshay, we met when we were in middle school. And it's just been a story from there. We've been through a lot. And he was one of the biggest inspiration for this show. So I'm very privileged that he's sitting right here so we can film one of the first few episodes of the Pocopio Show. So I hope you like it. If you don't agree with everything we have to say, that's okay. The whole point of the show is to learn about one another and see what we can take away from it. Shay, thanks you so much for being here. You've been a huge inspiration in my life. You've helped me with so many things, from dating advice, from dressing advice, from just being an overall person, right? And I want my viewers to know that first and foremost. And in order for them to understand them, I would like to talk a little bit about you. Obviously, we're gonna talk a lot about you, Shay. But let's start with your origin story. Let's do some comic book style origin story, like where you from, what you been, and yeah, man, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, of course, as you guys can see, he's exaggerating a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of like an inside joke of us because he's always said, I've had this ability to find a connection to any type of character, whether it be realism or fantasy. I find that way to kind of connect with a character. And for me, you know, it could be a little nerdy, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. But that's just how I am. For me, growing up, and one of the main reasons why I'm like that was because for me, the way I grew up, fantasy was my way to cope and to escape what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody knows the stereotype. You have young parents, you know. I'm not going to get into specifics
No, but just
of
give
my
a
parents'
context.
ages, but just know they were young parents. And of course, when you're a child of young parents, there's things that happen to you that's unfortunate. I mean, everybody's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everybody learns to be a parent when they become a parent. There's no book for it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I come from poverty. Not going to get specific with you guys, but just know, yes, definitely come from poverty. So every struggle you could think of that you probably have faced yourself, I more than likely experienced the same thing, just so we're on the same page. But the reason why I say that is because you always have a choice. It doesn't matter where you come from, you ultimately have the choice to follow down that path that's sort of expected of you, or do everything different and try to break that pattern. And for me, I've always looked at all the error and my elders and how can I learn from their mistakes and how can I go on the right path that's going to put me where I want to be, where I want to guide the next generation.
Right.
So for me, that was a big thing. So whatever I could possibly do to prevent that, you know, paying attention to my parents, not making the same choices that they made so I can make a better future for my generation or who's ever the descendant of me. So that being said, you know, all of that made me who I am today.
Right.
Because they say hard times make strong men. So at the end of the day, we go through a lot of things, but it's ultimately a test so that we can be prepared for what's up to come.
Right. And I'm hugely agree with you. Hard times make the man. Right now, with everything that's been going on, I feel like I've experienced my most growth. And you didn't have the privilege. You I don't want to say you had the privilege, but you had to grow up quite young, Shay. And one of the things you mentioned was the fact that you look up to fictional characters. Who do you think was your biggest inspiration to help you become who you are right now? Like, who do you remember? I know, but I feel like there's always been more than one. So who do you feel like you adopted some qualities from? It can be from video games, anime, whatever, dude.
Video games and anime.
Oh, comic books. I know
Comic
you're a big
books.
you were a big fan of comic books. You still are.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I can definitely name a few comic book characters. Everybody knows, Nightwing is my favorite superhero. A lot of people have things say, oh, he's just regular, oh, he can't do this, he's not better than Batman. But there's a whole story behind Nightwing that makes him who he is and how that applies to my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course there's positive things that comes with Batman and the whole Bat family. But for me, it's more of how relative Nightwing is when it comes to the Bat family. Because yeah, he was raised by Batman. Yeah, he had his own unique talents that made him unique, what makes him Nightwing, right? Because he's basically Batman plus all the social skills. And then, he's of course agile. So he has what Batman lacks, but also takes the positives of Batman and creates his own storyline with it.
And do you feel like the fact that you took some positive aspect, just like Nightwing, you did the same. You grabbed something. For example, who was the Batman in your life that you saw him like, I'm gonna be that Nightwing. I'm gonna be better.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's like my father, right? My father was a big influence on me. I had the benefit and the privilege to actually know my father, to actually get certain qualities that you get from a dad. Of course, my dad wasn't perfect. He had his flaws. But it's seeing the positive in him that made me go on that separate type of path. Because me and him, we have different views, right? We've always had different views. We got into it.
Right.
But the thing about it was, I still took his teachings and I made the best out of them, but used my own influence, my own opinion, what I believed in. Because like as a man, no matter what everybody tells you, what makes you a man is standing your ground, holding to it, defending it. Because at the end of the day, if somebody can make you feel a certain way about your viewpoints, and I'm not promoting, people being ignorant or anything like that. I'm talking about in a positive way, Like if I want to rock oversized anime sweatsuits, like I want to rock oversized anime sweatsuits, right? And I was like, dang, like I'm about to fry him up. Like he has an anime sweatsuit. Like I don't care, because guess what? Like I'm comfortable with how I am. I'm comfortable when I'm wearing. Like yeah, man. Like I'm comfortable at the end of the day. Like I like this. I like Yu Hakusho. I'm comfortable. Like I'm chilling right now. It's good for me. I feel like one thing you can learn from the elders. People like, dang, like grandma such and such or grandpa such and such just don't care. Like it's not that he don't care. He doesn't care about what people think. Because after a certain age in your life, you realize it's about your happiness and not about what other people think.
And funny enough that you say you don't care. Like one thing about you that it's not hard to miss is your hair. You're pretty big on manhood. What do you feel like long hair stands with manhood right now? Like.
So I feel like over the years, it's definitely been a touchy subject because we both come from backgrounds. We're both Latino, so everybody knows in the Latino community is very machismo. So it's like anything that's considered semi-feminine, it's bad. And the crazy part about that is you look at different ancient stories throughout time, and a lot of the most powerful warriors had long hair. You got Samson, literally said all of his strength was within his mane. Like that's powerful in its sense. You have Native American culture, So I just want to let everybody know I'm repping for all the Afro indigenous people out there.
Shout out to them too.
Exactly. Shout out to all the Boricuas out there.
Hey,
cool.
Shout out to y'all too.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, their hair helped them connect to nature. So, and this is also in Rastafarianism. They believe that it's an extension of the nervous system. So you can, so it's an extension of the nervous system, and also your hairs can pick up on the auras around you. So that's why when your hair is longer, you feel more connected. You can feel the auras and the energies of people when you enter the room. That's because it's an extension of your nervous system. That's why during the time that they were using the natives during war times, they shaved all their hair off. Before they shaved all their hair, they knew the land. They was connected to the lands. It just almost seemed like they had a superpower, right? But as soon as they cut that connection, it was almost like they were completely disconnected from the environment.
Wow, dude, that's so powerful. Especially the extension of, almost sounds like extension of yourself, of energies.
Exactly. And it's like how that relates to today. So today it's more of a fashion statement.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into a lot of that, but now we're under a situation where masculinity is under attack.
Right.
So what's subjectively masculine might not be subjectively masculine to the next person.
Right.
But that's not to say that just because a man wears his hair makes him effeminate. Or you see some people's like, oh, I don't like man buns or whatever. Be like, trust me, we all know that one person who shouldn't have long hair. We all know that one older guy who's receding at the top and he has like that ugly dog tail on the back of his head. Yeah, we're talking about those two guys. Like, we don't like that either. But at the end of the day, it's your masculine aura and how you present yourself and the confidence that you present in yourself that the women are attracted to. Because a woman can come to you, she can come to me and not like guys with long hair. They be like, oh yeah, I don't date guys with long hair, or I can't date a guy whose hair is longer than mine. Whatever they say, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they get to know me, they're around me, and it's like, dang, like I'm really feeling him. Then they begin to have an attraction to it. Like, oh dang, like I think I like guys with long hair. I think I like guys with piercings. But before they're like, oh no, I can't date a guy who has piercings or long hair. But it's like, once they have that experience of you and you grow on them and your aura grows on them, it's like, oh wow, like I had this guy pegged wrong. It's all about how you present yourself. Because you could be that one guy, she had that bad experience, like, oh yeah, I don't like his man, but then she messes with you with that one. It's like, dang, like I don't know what it is about him, but he really makes that man bun work. It's like people say like Jason Momoa is the only one who will rock a man bun. That's not true. That's just because you see him on Aquaman, you see him on Justice League, it's like, oh yeah, he really has it down pat.
Right.
But no, it's about how he carried himself and how well he sold it to you. He basically sold masculinity to you.
That's crazy.
He sold masculinity to you and you bought it. You didn't think like, oh yeah, he's a joke, he has long hair. It's just like, dang, like he's really something. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's all about how you present yourself.
And then you think, and that's how manhood is related to it. How you
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you think right now, the generation right now is presented their manhood right now? What do you think they're going at?
I think a lot of young men, I should say too, they don't have the proper guidance because somewhere during our father's generation, they dropped the ball when it comes to traditional teachings, when it comes to being a man. And not to say they didn't teach us good teachings when it comes to being a man, but they didn't give the proper guidance that our grandfathers gave them.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that's a little bit disconnected in our generation. So a lot of our generation is kind of learning as we go. But with the inclusion of social media, it throws in comparison. They say the comparison is the thievery of joy. So ultimately, that's like comparing everybody's manhood to another, and that's not fair. Because there's a lot of different things that can be determined off of manhood. It can be physical strength, it can be height, it can be financial security, wealth, whatever the case may be. That topic can vary by a man, but a man is his character.
Going back to the prior generation, because I see in my own family, the last generation of true man was my grandfather's generation.
Exactly.
And he was very stern. He was very disciplinary. He was very strict, and because he had high standards, and because my parents' generation couldn't really keep up with those standards, it's sort of like, well, I'm gonna do the totally opposite. And you're right, they did pass us some things, but I'm looking back, it's like more of the things of manhood that I've learned was from other men, from my own research. I had to go. Not that my dad wasn't a man, but he has his own struggles that eventually was his downfall, I guess.
Exactly.
And yeah, I see that a lot in our generation. Like, then we had to seek out guidance. That's why we have so many men on internet promoting all types of messages of what a man is, and then we have women telling us of what a man is.
And I don't want to interrupt you, but
no, please.
Literally, it just ran across my mind. And I
Please.
had to mention it because it stood out to me. And the thing about it is, what makes you a man, what makes you masculine, is self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice. Because you gotta think about it. Back in the day, you're talking about a a poor household, right?
Right.
The man is going to work as many hours as he has to make sure his family is good at the end of the day. That's sacrifice. A man who was drafted back in the day to go to war to fight for his family, that's self-sacrifice. What happens in a dangerous situation if somebody's being ambushed and you want to save your family? The man stays behind. He lets his family go ahead. All those have self-sacrifice that comes into the mix. Your dad might look like a bum, wear some Skechers, and he got his whole fit from Walmart. Not to say there's anything wrong, people got fits from Walmart. Don't shoot my head off. But
shout out to Walmart.
Actually, don't shout out to Walmart. Actually,
oh yeah.
But I'm not gonna get on that. Just know I know what you guys are thinking, and I'm totally with you. So don't think that I'm promoting it. But
not shout out to Walmart.
But anyway, you gotta do what you gotta do at the end of the day. But anyway, where were we going with that?
Manhood, the next generation, and how right now is.
Yeah, got you. So he'll wear all of that just to provide for his family, just to make sure his daughter looks good, just to make sure his daughter has those brand new shoes that she asked him for.
Right.
He would do whatever he has to do to make sure his family eats. And that's self-sacrifice. Masculinity is self-sacrifice, no matter how you look at it.
What do you think is the downfall of self-sacrifice? Because I see a lot of men self-sacrificing for a lot, and then they end up divorced, and they barely get to see the kids, or they have to start over. What do you think is the downfall of self-sacrifice?
I think it's very simple, actually. It's kind of like when you get on the airplane and they say make sure you secure your oxygen before you secure another's. And I know for some guys, it can come off a little offensive when you hear, like, I'm even one of the person, I'm not ashamed to admit, I was offended by the principle. But it makes a lot of sense. Because at the end of the day, a lot of guys, they're forced into fatherhood, unexpectedly. But at the end, they stuck it out. They provided for their family. But within that, they had to still sacrifice. They had to do what they had to do at the end of the day, right? Like you said, the cost of that is they may not be able to live up to their dream. They may not be able to do what they initially planned to do for their life because they had to be a father, or they had to be a husband. Right. But if they were given the right tools, they would set themselves up financially to be in a position where they're not suffering. We see a lot of our fathers, they don't live very long because they're stressed out, or maybe they smoke, or maybe they drink, and maybe that's their way of coping with a lot of they're going through. Because now our generation, we talk about what we're going through emotionally, mentally, but our fathers didn't really have that. So I can't speak for everybody. That for my dad, he was very serious about me expressing how I feel emotionally or talking to him about it.
Okay, so your dad taught you that?
Yeah, because he didn't have that.
Wow. So
he wanted to make sure that we had that communication. My dad was one of that. He actually told me he loved me. A lot of people's fathers don't tell them that they love them.
I don't remember last time, and not to bash on my dad, because my dad was a good dad in his own ways and a bad dad in his own ways. But he never once told me he loved me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's like with dads, their love is through action.
Right.
So it's not to say that, they love you. They might not say it, but love is all about action, because I can sit here and tell somebody I love them all day, but if I have no action to back that up, it's just meaningless words. So at the end of the day, love is expression. So it's not just words. It's about how you execute that love.
And another thing about dads, and the world is very ungrateful to dads. Because even though they're flawed, they still do the best they can.
Exactly.
And we focus so much on what they did wrong rather than what they did right. I mean, I'm saying that from pure experience. And I remember when we used to talk about our fathers, like, we just complain about them. But now that we look back, I'm like, damn, my dad taught me how to eat properly. He taught me how to shake somebody's hand, to be on point of certain things, So why do you think we are so afraid to thank our fathers because of everything they're doing wrong? Why do you think our generation is just messed up in that way? Oops, I'm going to have to look it up.
I think where it comes from is that we have a lot of hang-ups or some pent-up resentment towards our fathers for certain viewpoints that they have. But because, at the time, we weren't mature enough to understand where the advice was coming from. But as you get older and you mature, you start to understand where they were coming from. In that regards to advice, for me, unfortunately, I lost my dad at 25. But one thing I realized is that the hardest things you go through as a man makes you stronger. And I feel once I lost my dad, it really propelled me, kind of just skipped levels of maturity. Like, I feel like life is not really on a time scale. You can make great leaps positively towards your goals or whatever that looks like for you in substantial amounts of time, whether that's a short period of time, whether that's a long period of time. There's no guaranteed time limit on it, you know? But for me, I understand exactly where my dad's coming from. And going through the same things that he experienced, it's just like surreal. Like sometimes I just wish like, dang, like Pops, I wish I could have a conversation about this, because we could really have a whole conversation about one thing that literally irritated me. So yeah, it's all about maturity, because we don't want to admit that our father was, you know, wrong. And it's like, for me, you know, coming from a martial arts background, humility is a big thing. Once you can find the heart to be humility, like to express humility, you'll elevate in so many different ways, because you don't have that pride attached to it.
Right.
To say, hey, I don't know something. Like the old me would have been like, I'm gonna fake like I understand what they're talking about, or I'm gonna fake like I'm follow along with this conversation. But the new me is like, no, can you actually explain that to me? I'm not familiar with that. Like somebody might be like, oh, he doesn't know. Like, yo, guess what? I might spend that one moment being ignorant, but guess what? From then on out, I'm not gonna be ignorant of it. So I might take this one time to possibly look ignorant, but from then on out, I'll know. So when it comes up again, I don't have to fake. I actually know.
Wow, that's pretty huge, dude. And funny enough, that's why I actually did this show, because I want to learn, and one of the best way I learn is through having conversations. I love having conversations and exploring people's lives, and I always learn something interesting that maybe I can apply to myself. Hence why I want to you know, spread the word to other people. That's why the show started from. But let's switch the topic a little bit. You mentioned martial arts. How long you been doing martial arts by now? What's your rank?
So right now, I actually am a black belt in Wado Ryu style karate. For me, you know, I grew up watching all those kung fu movies, you know, like Bruce Lee, Michael Jai White, Jet Li, Tony Jaa, all of them, you know. So martial arts has definitely been something I've always been interested in. You know, shout out to Tekken. Shout out to all those countless hours I play with all my cousins. You guys know who you are. But yeah, I feel like Tekken was ultimately like a big influence on martial arts. More specifically Taekwondo, because everybody knows Hwarong, he was that dude when it comes to like kicking. So I was like, oh yeah. Like as a kid, like, yeah, I definitely gotta do Taekwondo. So, you know, of course, when you were younger, we all, you know, like play fight with our cousins and stuff like that. So, you know, that was the thing. But I want to say I was about 19 years old. I enrolled in my first Taekwondo school. And I probably did it for a year or so. I was working full time and at school part time, so of course had to drop out. But I didn't stop working out. You know, I still practiced all the techniques I had.
Sorry to cut you off, but I want people to know he was the first person who got me in the gym. Like literally, we would go to the gym together. My parents would make fun of us because you know they're old school.
Yeah.
And you were the first person to get me in the gym and actually get back to the gym once I went through my first huge breakup. And now I'm back in the gym again. It's always like every time I go through a heartbreak, the gym is always there. What is it about the gym that brought you a sense of power, a sense of worth?
So here's the funny thing, guys. I have to make a nerdy reference, but every man knows this to be true. The gym is the hyperbolic time chamber. Like, you know how in the Cell Saga, Cell Saga, so Gohan and Goku in the time chamber, Vegeta and Trunks, like we go in the time chamber, we're looking to level up. We're looking to face that next threat in our life, and threat being a metaphor for whatever life has to offer for us.
Right.
So the gym is just like we're getting out all of our frustration. We're transforming. The thing about the gym is everybody in there is not happy with how they're looking right now. Whether that be a great body, whether that be bulked up, lean, skinny, fat, whatever the case may be. Everybody's in there because they don't like where they're at right now. Right. And they want to, you know, create a better version of themselves. So the gym is like that for guys. Like when going after a breakup, we can boom. Like they say like a person, you gotta watch out for a guy's in the gym after a breakup because he's on a vengeance. He's on a rampage in there. He's probably lifting up weights 2 times that he probably couldn't lift up because he's like, oh, she said what? She said you ain't a real man. She said you a beta. I ain't no beta. Ah!
No, you're right, because I'm at the gym right now and I'm pushing him up.
We just using that as full. That's the best pre-workout for you right there. But I think
what she said. Fat. I'm about to pick them weights up.
That's the best pre-workout.
So now you went from doing different workouts to actually training now. What does your training consist most of right now? Because it's not purely just weight now; it's just more.
Yeah, so the thing about me is, you know how I am. I try all different types of styles. I've tried all different types of diets, calisthenics, weight training, everything you could think of. But my style, I would say it's a hybrid training style because some days I do lift heavy because I want to increase my strength output, right?
Right.
But then I also mix calisthenics in there because calisthenics helps you to control the muscle, and if you can control the muscle, you can generate power. So let me actually rephrase that. So speed and precision can generate power.
Speed and precision.
Yeah, it can generate power. Now, some people would say strength, precision, and speed generates power, but to make it more simple, it's like speed and precision generates power.
Precision is what exactly?
So precision is like, so say like I'm looking at the light right there, right?
Right.
Now, I have a pin, right? Now, how accurate I can get that pin to hit the center of that light is precision, right? So if I'm punching, I'm coming, that's precision. I'm aiming with my two front knuckles, or the precision of my shin on the top of my foot, right? But practicing that same technique over and over and over, you gain control over it. So you can do it slow, you can do it fast, you can do it powerful, But having that control over the range of motion can allow you to create power, because now I can do it fast and I can do it accurate. Boom, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm generating speed and precision, that's power, because it's momentum.
That sounds like mastery, dude. I was telling you that I just finished reading the book, which I have to read it again because it was very difficult. Mastery by Robert Greene. And you talk about in order to master something, you have to put countless of hours into it. And I know you put countless of hours into your martial arts. How did you do it when your head wasn't in the right space? You just showed up, you just did it.
So the thing about martial arts, a lot of people think about the physical aspect, right? But it's a spiritual aspect to it, and it's also an intellectual aspect to it.
Tell me the spiritual, please.
So everybody knows with martial arts, it's all about your chakras and your chis and being able to properly breathe, like, and controlling that breath, and how universal being able to breathe properly is. Because you're breathing through pain. A woman's in labor, she's breathing through it. She's using her chakra, she's breathing through it. You're in an ice bath, you're breathing through the cold.
Yeah.
Everything is breathing. You're jogging, you're breathing through it.
Right.
Everything, you have an anxiety, you're breathing through it. Everything is breath mastery of your breathing.
You feel like that's a key fundamental? I know this is an add-on question, but do you think?
But that's towards the spirituality.
Okay.
Because your chakra is connected to your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all are beings of energy.
Yes.
So that being said, that's I won't go too much on that, but I'll go into the next topic. So we'll go into like the intellectual aspect, like I talked about humility. They say in martial arts to always remain a student. So there's no such thing as a master, because a master is still learning even to this day. Because that's why there's so many degrees of black belt. They're like, oh, what is it like? How are you a third degree black belt? Because there's always room for improvement. There's no such thing as mastery, because as a martial artist, you don't just become a martial artist, get a black belt, and it's done. Being a martial artist is a lifetime thing.
Training to the next step and the next step.
Exactly. And martial arts is a form of meditation for me. So people have, actual meditation they do, but I can meditate while I'm practicing my techniques, while I'm practicing my katas. Or if I'm just simply having my eyes closed, generating my third eye and just controlling my breathing. Wow. Meditation. There's different forms of meditation. And it's like no matter what I'm going through, there's always something in martial arts to help me. If I have a lot of energy, I'm doing a lot of shadow boxing, I'm doing a lot of bag work. If I'm feeling conflicted, I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to breathe myself through it. Or simply go on a long run. You'll literally come with solutions. Going on long runs and just controlling your breathing, you'll just zone out and not even realize you're zoned out. But you'll come at peace with a lot of different things that's conflicting.
Oh, I see. So the key element is the breathing.
Exactly.
The meditation. There's different meditations for different struggles. The key element is the breathing.
Exactly.
And have you always had an intuition for breathing, or did martial arts help you kind of master breathing?
Martial arts definitely helped me master breathing and learning how to use it in a different way, because one of the main things that's considered superficial is that in martial arts they say like they have the kiyas, the hayas, things like that. It's expelling your chi, which is a real thing.
Right.
That's why you see people of small stature like, wow, how did he generate that much force? Because it's learning how to use your inner chakras and expelling that with, an extension of your actual physical strength.
Wow, so much independence.
So that's what ultimately it has to do. It's really powerful because before I didn't even realize I was breathing incorrectly. And you know me, like, I be knocked out, I have my mouth wide open. But like mastering breathing, mastering breathing, you learn how to use the less amount of oxygen as possible.
Could you show us the real quick the best way of breathing? Just one example.
Okay, so it's anybody who's done yoga before is pretty much familiar with this, and of course if you have a martial arts background. But first things first, you want to have your back straight, just like so. Now you always want to breathe in through the nose, then out through the mouth. Now a lot of people say, why can't I breathe in through my mouth? Because eventually, as you breathe in through your mouth becomes dry, and once your mouth becomes dry, you can't properly breathe straight, and then you're generating mucus and things like that. But if you go with the nose first and then out through the mouth, you never have that issue.
There's a lot of science behind that, but please come on.
Exactly. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to take a deep breath. And as you take this deep breath, you're going to allow that air to go through your entire diaphragm and kind of try to get it as high as you possibly can to your chest.
Can you show me real quick so I'll try with you?
So first, I like to take a test breath. So I'll come in, I'll empty my lungs, and then I'll take a deep breath in through my nose. And the more you do it, you can create a self-inflicted euphoria by controlling your inhale, like extending the inhale and extending the exhale. As you extend your exhale longer, you're going to get more of a euphoric feeling as you inhale the oxygen back into your body.
I feel so relaxed.
Yeah, like a nerdy, like the way to like nerdily like explain this would be kind of like, you're charging up on Dragon Ball. You charging all the way up.
In between sets, can I do that? Is that right?
Absolutely. So like for me, like when I'm training my clients, I always tell them, 3 deep breaths or 5 deep breaths after a set before we begin the next exercise. Because the thing about martial arts is going to challenge your body in a different way you're not used to being challenged. You could be thinking you're in shape, like you can be an athlete, you can be the best bodybuilder. But at the end of the day, it's going to challenge your body in different ways you're not used to being challenged.
Right.
And the thing about martial arts is we don't just like, it's leg day or it's upper body day with martial arts. Martial arts, it can be everything. Right. It could be leg day, it could be upper body day, it could be cardio all in one. But it's the adaptability that comes with martial arts. And there's the fundamental within martial arts is that everything is a circle. So everything is a circle. Everything's martial arts. So it's like you can use your breathing. Your breathing is universal. The thought process behind it.
While I'm still on the subject of martial art, kind of deviated a little bit. How do you believe that martial arts would benefit the youth right now? Because right now I work with children and I see a lot of self-esteem issues. I see a lot of wrong sign of what a man is. They have the wrong idea of what a man is. They're physically not in the best shape they've ever been. Like lunch cafeteria, and I don't want to talk bad about the school system. I love working, but I love doing what I do. But the school system's food right now is not the best. So that being said, how do you think right now martial arts could benefit children?
I think more than anything, first and foremost, is the discipline. I feel like the discipline for our generation was pretty out of pocket, and it just trickled down to be worse with the next generation.
Discipline, okay.
And I feel like they definitely need discipline because I can't tell you how many kids I've trained where I had to tell, they literally ask me, well, why do I have to say yes, sir? Well, why do I have to say yes, ma'am? Or why is it impolite for me to yawn in someone's face? Like I'll tell one of my students right now, if he yawns in my face, give me 10 push-ups. I'm like, well, why are you telling me to get 10 push-ups? Sensei was like, because that's rude. You don't yawn in someone's face. It's disrespectful. And so that kid are like mind blown, like, wow, I never knew that was disrespectful. Oh, I never knew that I needed to address a person of authority or elder of authority as sir or ma'am, and literally asking me why you're supposed to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just creates that foundation for them. Learn how to eat healthy. Teaching them why you need to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like oh, you want to have those 4 donuts? Cool. Eat those 4 donuts before we work out, right? It's the process of having them learn, going through like, oh my goodness, my stomach hurts so bad. Like, well, why did your stomach hurt? Like, I don't know what I did wrong. You sure about that?
Mm.
Well, I did have donuts cause and effect. You teach them, okay, this is why we eat healthy. You see what happens to your body when you don't treat it right? You have to put good quality ingredients in your body so that your body can run effectively.
Dang, dude.
You got to give your body that premium fuel. You can't give your body that, regular gas that,
It's a Ferrari. You gotta feed it the right fuel.
You gotta get that premium fuel. You know what I'm saying?
Get that premium fuel.
So, yeah.
Discipline, dude. That's huge, man. Thank you for sharing that. I think we've learned a lot today. We can go on and on, but let's leave them wanting. I always want to leave it wanting more. Before we go, you always tell me the story different, and I'm like, am I tripping or not? But I want you to tell me, how did we meet? Because I know we met either in science class or math class, and I forgot all about it.
Definitely wasn't science class.
But be truthful with me. Like, if I say something out of pocket, please, actually, no, downplay it a little bit because I don't want them to look at me that bad. But how did we meet, man? I was like, who came up to who first?
So I'm going to tell you guys like this. So, hopefully this story becomes legendary like, the Prince and Charlie Murphy story.
I'm going to regret this.
So hopefully, we get there someday we can look back and like, dang, guys, this is where we started. But anyway, that's hopeful wishing. Well, actually, no, let me not even say hopeful wishing because, we're going to dream for the top. But anyways, how I met this guy was hilarious because, as you know, we went to school in PG County school system. Not the best school system you can attend.
I can't
and
say
at that middle school, you were worried about high school. I feel like if you survive middle school, PG County, Southeast DC, like you're literally set for life. Like you learn all life skills you need in middle school. But anyway, just to give you guys a little bit of background, he transferred here. He transferred to our middle school, so he was a new student. He was brand new. The kids at our school were evil, man. They were mean as I don't know what. Like to this day, I can tell you, they were so mean. And for me, I was lucky. My dad told me to always speak my mind. Go to my own drum, like follow my beats on my own drum. Basically, I probably messed that saying up.
Yes, it's cool.
But anyway, all I'm saying is just know, like I was always doing my own thing. I was a lone wolf. If you follow me, cool. But at the end of the day, I wasn't tripping. And for me, I've always had like that equalizer mentality. Like I'm the type of person, if I see somebody picking on someone, I'm gonna say something. If I see somebody who's not on someone else's level picking on someone, I'm going to be the balance of power in that situation. So that's how I am. Anyway, so just give you a little short story for me. This was before I had the square jawline and the little bit of facial hair I had now. I had this curly bush, right? And I don't know why. And before I even finish that story, I'm just gonna say this.
It's okay.
Let's just get back to the story.
Let's be us.
Okay. So he walks in the classroom. We're in math class. Miss Jackson. I'll never forget Miss Jackson.
Shout out to Miss Jackson.
Exactly. And we used to sing "Sorry, Miss Jackson."
Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh.
We used to annoy her with that. Anyway, we'll get into that.
That was your idea, by the way.
I see this dude walking in the class, right? At first, I'm not even paying attention because I don't even see it, but I heard a bunch of commotion, and I looked to the left side of the class, and I'm like, who is this guy? And like off the break, they're just like firing shots out. I'm like, dude didn't even get into the class within 10 seconds, and he just lighting them up. He's like that person who is not loud enough, you're playing paintball, and he's saying hit, but they just like lighting them up. That's how it was.
I was a cute kid, man. What can I say?
So, but mind you, dude had the bowl cut, yo. The bowl cut. Like, I've never seen the bowl cut, like, mixed into a mullet.
Dude.
It was a mullet bowl cut.
Dude, it was fly, dude.
That joint was a mullet bowl cut. A mullet bowl cut. Anyway, so they're talking whatever they got to say about him or whatever. At this point, I'm observing. I haven't said anything to him at this point. I think after that day, we went up to lunch, and I'm talking to him, introducing myself because you know, I felt bad. Like, I was like, dang, like, what if I was that dude? And, you know, I ain't had nobody to talk to. That's what, like, I had that equal. I was like, you know, this dude's probably cool. I'm gonna have a conversation with him. The first thing we talk about, I don't even know how we got into it. We're talking about Resident Evil 4. Because it was that game. I'm telling you. At the time, it was that game. And literally, we just, like, geeked out on just talking about Resident Evil 4. And I was like, dang, like, this dude played Resident Evil. I mean, people play Resident Evil, but it was just like, it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Yeah, back then it was very one of those games.
So, anyway, we get to talking or whatever. Of course, you know, it didn't take long for it to reach class, and he was like, oh, they always together, they're gay. Whoa, whoa. And I'm just like, they were like literally saying anything they can possibly say, man.
Dude.
But like, dog, like they used to like say all different types of derogatory stuff, like talking about chili pepper, all the types of burritos.
They made us tough though.
It made us tough.
It made us tough.
But all this to say that I would joan on them back. Like, I had his back. Like, this dude was a complete stranger to me, but, like, literally we became the closest of friends. We even recruited somebody in our friendship group who wasn't even expected to be recruited, and we recruited Carlos. Carlos, if you're watching this video, shout out to you, but you're probably not watching it. But anyway, it was so crazy because it's so funny how you can get stereotyped in, you know, a minority community. And literally our teacher thought, she just thought we were part of some Latino gang just because we were 3 Latinos that was
chilling,
cuddled up with each other.
We was chilling.
Now, granted, you know, this is years ago, so I can say this. We were definitely cheating off each other. Made ourselves through math class.
I was like, what you get?
Like,
literally, science class, dude, we cheated like dogs, dude. Science so class. What you got?
Well, science class I actually tried, though. I
know. You tried. I cheated.
You know what you just remind me of in science class?
What?
This dude always had the brand new Shippuden manga.
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
He always had every. Was it Shippuden? No,
it was Naruto. It was regular Naruto.
He always had the
OG,
new manga.
Dude, shout out to
like
Naruto.
when it was in English. So I used to joan on him, and it's a funny thing. Like I used to be like, dang, are you nerdy as shit?
It's alright. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I was like, dang, you nerdy, bro. Like, you just bought like a whole manga book, and I look at me now, like I got a whole anime sweatsuit on.
See what I'm talking about?
But yeah, anyway, all I'm saying was this dude. Now here's the main thing. This dude thought I was a girl.
See, this is the part.
First time he saw me, he thought I was a girl at first. He really did. Like dang. Like I was like, bruh, come on now. And to this day, he still denied it.
I deny it, and
he still denies it. Now, I'm not saying, like, if you ever see my middle school picture, and if you're ever somebody who went to our middle school, then you probably have my picture, and you're probably cracking up right now because you know exactly what we're talking about. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe say, like, it wasn't too far off. But at the same time, you can still tell I was a dude. But anyway, I just thought that was hilarious, and I just had to say that because, you know, on his side of the story, he tried to say that didn't happen. But he literally said that to me. And then when he found out, he was like, oh, dang.
Alright, dude, whatever. Oh, man, thank you so much for being here, dude. I love you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Let's end the episode. Alright, yo, this has been another episode of the Pocopio Show. Shut up. I hope you like it. I hope you learned something. I hope we don't get canceled. That's the realest thing. All right, yo, we out. It's bouncing.